Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to another live stream on the channel. Today, we're here for our match reaction after Leicester City 1, Aston Villa 2. I think there's a lot to go through. And obviously, another loss for Leicester, but in my opinion, another fairly encouraging performance to the start of our Premier League campaign. We'll go through the lineups. I think there's a lot to discuss in terms of some personnel, especially out wide, where Leicester lost the game yesterday, and mainly the key things we learned from it, because I think there's a lot to kind of digest from that game against Aston Villa. It was a bit of a crazy game, obviously the refereeing decisions, which I'm sure we'll touch upon a bit. But in terms of Leicester's performance, I think there is some positives to take. But yeah, we are joined by Locks. Welcome to the stream. How are we, mate?
Yeah, mate, all good. Again, I've said this for 3 weeks in a row, but I'm all good other than the football, So yeah, it's always the football there to ruin your weekend, isn't it?
Exactly. It's always the case. But yeah, obviously yesterday, another loss for Leicester City. Kind of expected, I guess you would say, against a team like Villa. What are your initial first thoughts on it?
Well, unfortunately, I say unfortunately, it was my mum's birthday party, so I didn't get to see the full 90, but I was watching it when I could.
Yeah.
I thought I agree with the majority of what people are saying about positives to take for sure. I
Hmm.
think in all 3 games this season, I've been quite pleasantly surprised at the players, like the
Yeah.
actual, the players on the pitch. I feel like number one, and the thing that stands out to me every time I've seen them, is the commitment and the effort and the passion. It seems to be 10
Mm.
out of 10 all around the pitch, right? So that's impressive, and that gives me a lot of hope. I think that the play, because the relegation season, no one looked like they could be asked, and it
Hmm.
just all seemed, yeah. So the thing that's got me down a bit is still Cooper, and I still think the fan base is a little bit split. I've seen people online go at Cooper and blame him for
Yeah.
the loss, and I'm one of them. And I've also seen other people saying, you can't blame Cooper, and people are being a little bit harsh, and that Leicester were hard done to as well. Obviously, the refereeing performance and
Mm.
things like that. I just hate blaming refs. I like moaning about them, of course I do, maybe during the game, but I hate blaming refs after a game's finished, and I almost refuse to do it because I just feel like we still could have got a point from that game
Yeah.
if we were set up differently, in my opinion, in the first half. Some people won't agree, some people will, but yeah. So in terms of the players, mate, I'm impressed with it, but I just feel. I don't know. I just want to blame the manager, unfortunately, but
Yeah.
that's the easy
Uh,
thing to do, though, isn't it? Blame the manager. You
yeah.
know what I mean?
Exactly. It's the first point to go to. People in the chat, make sure to let me know your thoughts. Where did Leicester, or where was the game lost yesterday? In my opinion, it was a bit of a mix. I think the key point of where the game was lost was the substitutions. I think this point here changed the game, because at this point of the game, that first period of the second half, it was very scrappy. It was very cagey. Villa were rattled slightly. There was no there was no momentum from any team really. Leicester had the chances to make the most of it, and we just didn't. Villa made the subs. Emery realised that the game was changing. You got Duran and Ross Barkley on, and look at that. 2 minutes later, they score, and that second goal completely changed the game, because if that didn't go in, potentially Leicester can go and get a point or something. But I think the substitutions came a bit late. Obviously, Locks was talking about the manager as a whole. I think the setup from the start with the personnel, especially, I think that needs to change going into Crystal Palace. We'll talk about that a bit later. I think there's one man who everyone's going to agree on is Stefan Mavrodini to come in from the start. But yeah, I think all in all, I don't think we were bad though. I don't think it's just frustrating, isn't it?
Yes, mate. This is why I'm blaming the manager, by the way. So first of all, I think it's the team selection to start with,
Mm.
and then the substitutions. I was told, mate, all summer by Leicester fans that were Cooper that were kind of happy with the Cooper appointment, that Steve Cooper is pragmatic, that Steve Cooper is proactive, not reactive. But
Mm.
correct me if I'm wrong. I know the Fulham game was slightly different because I think the subs were ready to come on and then we conceded. But
Yeah.
in this game, we were too late with the changes, and I just feel like we haven't really attacked the game well enough until we've gone one down in every
Yeah.
game. And for me, that's not good enough. I understand it. Tottenham, Fulham, Villa, all good teams,
Mm.
right? They are good, solid teams. But I just feel like when you know, when we played quite well in the first half, when we started the game quite well, kind of, I feel like, because we got a bit lucky a couple of times, but I feel like we should have maybe then at that point realized, all right, let's actually go at them. You know,
Mm,
do it then rather than waiting. And I think it's a concern that we've actually gone 1-0 down, or we've conceded first in every game. That's a
yeah.
little worry. But yeah, for me, mate, I think I mean, I got wind of the team news a day early,
Mm,
but the night before, and I was like, there's no way this is true. You know,
hmm
I kind of had a feeling Skip was starting, but Skip, Winks, and Ndidi. I mean,
Yeah.
and I think I know why. It's because he wants Ndidi as that presser, as somebody who's able to win the ball high up the pitch. It's what he brought to last season's team, you know, really well as well.
Yeah.
You know, you're then sacrificing just creativity. I mean, Facundo's been one of our best players so far this season. I know he was a bit more quiet against Fulham, but in the Spurs game, he was ridiculous. And
Yeah.
it just, if you're going to sacrifice Facundo or Bilal, you know, I won't put Bilal into it because obviously he's just signed. But if you're going to sacrifice that creativity from Facundo, you know, I just don't get it. I don't understand it. And I feel like, you know, once Facundo and Bilal came on, we were good. You know,
Yeah. Exactly.
we could have, imagine it was 1-1, you know,
I know, man.
you know what I mean? And they
Yeah.
were on, mate. We could have won it. We could have won it.
Exactly. 100%. I sent it on my vlog. This game is crying out for someone because I think the reason why Cooper's playing Winks and Diddy, etc., is it kind of gives us the foundation to get into them areas, but then the players don't
Yes.
have the ability to do anything with it. And you know, Ayew at times did the right on the left, getting past a few people, but didn't really have the end product. Fatawi was a bit quiet at times, but then again didn't get much service, and the same for Jamie Vardy. But yeah, I think you know if he just made them subs a bit earlier, took a slight risk because I would have rather Leicester, you know, just go for it. And if we lose 2-0, so be it. You know, we still lost anyway. Just trying to be a bit more conservative. But yeah, it's just it feels like we're saying the same thing every game. It's like if buts and maybes, we could have got something. And it's kind of similar to the 2014-15 season, all right? Because we seem to lose games by small margins, and you know at times we could have got something, and we just didn't in the end. And you know it's all good having these good performances, but sooner rather than later, we need to start turning these performances into results. And I think the only positive the fact of it is that we're having these good performances against pretty good teams. Obviously, Villa, Champions
Yeah.
League side, Fulham away is never an easy game, and obviously Tottenham. So I think there's positives to take, isn't there?
Yeah, mate. By the way, you hit the nail on the head when you said, you know, that, you know, we can't just sit here after every week, every game, every week saying if, you know, if this, but this,
Yeah.
and all this, right? You can't. And yeah, like I said yesterday, especially, maybe the players and maybe the manager, they feel hard done by, right, because of, you know, a few different things and the refereeing decisions and all of this. But you know, you've got 90 minutes to go in and get a point or go and win a game, and you haven't done it at the end of the day. And you're right, it feels like 14-15 so far. With regards to the effort levels were all there. We were playing quite well, and things just didn't go our way. But you know, we survived somehow in 14-15, you know, and that was a miracle. I can't see that being the case this year if we're going into February or March, you know, bottom of the table. We need to pick up as many points as possible. And, you know, similar to that, Steve Cooper, you know, after the Spurs game, after the Fulham game, I think after the Spurs game, it was, oh yeah, it was my fault first half. You know, I set us up wrong. And then after the Fulham game, he said something similar. And it's like, and then everyone online's like, oh, he's so refreshing. He's, you know, he's so good to hear. He's so honest. I'm like, well, you know, but he keeps making the same mistakes. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? You can't just keep making the same mistakes and just say, yeah, it was my fault, and then everyone be okay with it. Like, no, you know, maybe make the mistake once, maybe make the mistake twice, but you can't just keep doing it. So that's what frustrates me big time, because I think I believe, mate, I don't want to sound harsh, I believe Steve Cooper's a bit of a PR merchant, if I'm honest, but hey ho, I
That
do
impression
honestly,
was
yeah.
good.
Yeah, literally, mate. Yeah.
No, I think you're. Yeah, it's always good to have a manager who's honest, but yeah, there comes a point where you know it's a bit over the top. In terms of the game itself, I think this is the best in terms of the momentum throughout the whole season so far. But you know, like I said, it's all good having this momentum, but we aren't making the most of it. And I really think this period where Leicester were in green here before Villa got the goal was where the game was lost, because in my opinion, we had to get a goal here, or just, you know, really go at them and had a few chances, because the game was there for the taking at that point. You know, first off, yeah, Villa had a few chances. Hermanson made a good few saves from Watkins. But you know, Leicester had their moments towards the end of it as well. We carried that on, and it's just as soon as when that Duran goal went in, I was fuming, because the game was just so there for us, and again, it's just slipped away from us. And obviously, we got the goal through Facundo. We looked to go towards the end, but you know, there wasn't really a chance which materialised. And yeah, it's just these little moments against, you know, good teams like Villa who are efficient going forward. They take the chances. Emery makes the subs at the right point, and that's the small margins in the Premier League, in my opinion. And it's just
Well,
gone.
I was going to say that's not good enough. Look, the first however many minutes that is, 40 minutes, 35 minutes, that ain't good enough at home, right?
Yeah.
And then you look at after that, and it's that is positive to look at. But why didn't we make it count? It's because we were playing with 3 fucking DMs. You know what I mean? That's why there's not enough creativity. And I get it, right? I was watching a video earlier from Anil, for Fox 8, and he was doing an analysis, and he was saying that you know, the reason Cooper went for the 3 was obviously, you know, Ndidi brings the press, but also that he wanted to control. Well, does that first 30, 40 minutes look like a control to me? It doesn't. Yes, we grew into it, and yes, we did have control, but like Anil also said, there's just no creativity there. And I think you have to try and find the happy medium between a bit of control and being actually able to create chances. And I think we'll get onto it. I'm sure you'll get onto it, but towards the end of the game, I feel like we forced it as well. We forced it too much. So yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, that's fine. It's that fine balance, and I think Cooper's been a bit too conservative to play 3. I think if that was an away game, I'd say I wouldn't say it's all right, but it's a bit more understandable. But at home, you're really lining up with 3 defensive players, and obviously Ndidi didn't play in the defensive midfielder spot, but then you're playing him high up, who's, let's be honest, he's pretty useless on the ball, and it's just, yes, he's got the press, but he's not going to be able to create anything for us, and that's why that's where the game's been lost, in my opinion. You know, Villa had that difference. I think we kept some of their good players quiet as well. I thought defensively we weren't too bad. We'll get into it later, but I thought Caleb Akodi had a very good debut. He dealt with Duran, he dealt with Watkins quite well. Obviously, Duran did score, but you know, it's always difficult to defend that. In terms of the possession, that's the most possession we've had out of any game so far, 58, which is, you know, a fairly big margin as well. But you know, you have all that possession. If you look at the big chances, the expected goals, if you like it or not, you know, it still gives you an indication of what's happened, and look at the difference. 9 shots. So yeah, from this you can say Leicester were in the game, and were, but did we get a result? No.
I mean, I just had this thought in my head as well. Can you imagine Yuri Tillemans rocking up at the King Power, right? The game starts, and he's like, and he sees Wilfred Ndidi, who he played with, you know, for a couple of years, and he sees him in the number 10. He must be thinking, what the hell's going on here? Look, don't get me wrong. I know that Wilfred Ndidi in the advanced 8 position last year, right, was much better than any of us would have hoped for. But people need to remember that Enzo Maresca spent the whole of January trying to replace him with Fabio Carvalho and then Stefano Sensi, right? Spent the whole of January doing it. And I know he brings something different, but indeed he also had the likes of Fatawu, Dewsbury Hall, Mavididi, right, either side of him. And he wasn't the main focal point in attacks, whereas now he seems to be. Like it seemed to, we need to play it through Ndidi, but he can't trap a ball to save his life. I don't know if you remember, you saw the Winks just like powered a pass through to him, and it went under his foot, and it's like you can't rely on this, you know, like big old lanky guy to you know what I mean, to spearhead attacks. It's just not going to work. So yeah, that really annoyed me. Again, back to Facundo, because he's been one of our best players, he's been one of our most creative players, and he's dropped because of Ndidi. It's like, wow. I don't know.
I know. Crazy, isn't it? I've always said it about Diddy. His bloody long legs. They're good at tackling, but the other way, it's pain in the arse, isn't it?
Yeah.
Let's get into the chat quickly. I can also play striker. Yeah, well, I've made up a little lineup of potentially how we could play against Palace with the depth we've got. Be interested. Then obviously, I wouldn't expect. I don't think any of us expected Canoes to start. But obviously, he came on, did all right. I think in his first little bit for Leicester.
Yep.
I don't think Dak is going to be near it, but then again, he did play a bit in pre-season, so potentially. Cody was very good. Yeah, I thought he was good. I thought that Faz was pretty dodgy again. I remember. I don't know if you saw it, Locks, but I think he gave the ball away. Winks had a right go at him. He was screaming at him for about a minute. So be interesting come Palace to see if Vestergaard comes back in. But then obviously we are. Yeah, I think I can't really see it in terms of the pace. But I thought Cody
No.
from that performance, it's going to be hard to drop him.
Yeah, I feel like Palace is the first game. Don't get me wrong. I'm not disrespecting Palace. Palace are still, even though they've lost Elise, even though they've lost Anderson, they're still a very good team. I mean, the Palace fans tweeted on, I don't know if you've seen it yet, mate, but he's put a picture up of their like 11, and he's like, rest in peace, Steve Cooper, or something like that, right? And Leicester fans are getting involved in it, saying, this guy starts, that guy starts. And I looked at the 11, mate, and I thought, I don't know how many Leicester players actually get in that team, honestly. But so they're still a very good team. And I just think that we might, it's the first game that we should probably look at as a club and go, right, we actually could win this. We should win it. And I think because of that, we may see a slightly higher line, maybe. And if that's the case, then I think it should be a Coley, because Vestergaard is it's like a 16-wheeler reversing when he tries to turn. I mean, we saw it last season in the FA Cup against Chelsea. Do you remember who was it? Was it Jackson? It was Nicholas Jackson, wasn't it? I mean, he just went past him like. Well, to be fair, Championship strikers went past him a lot as well. So yeah, I really like Vestergaard in kind of like a scenario where we were at the first half against Spurs. I like that, but I just feel like for this game where we should probably go at them a bit more, it might be worthwhile having a Coley in there instead, because he is a bit quicker. And we've always took the piss out of our back line, saying how slow it is. But I mean, just looking at that back four there that you just had up, it's not even that slow. That's actually a decent back line in terms of pace. So we'll see, mate. We'll see. I think Coley was good. Yes, he made a mistake. He's made a mistake in every game he's played, even in pre-season. But if you've got players like Winks absolutely slating him, having a go at him, hopefully he learns quickly. I know he's just been called up to the senior Italy squad.
I know, it's crazy.
Senior one. Crazy. Prem tax.
Literally, 100% true in it. We passed the ball more to Fatawu. I thought it was quite quiet yesterday, but it's one of them really. When he got Justin, who never seems to pass the ball forward and plays it simple, it's always going to be difficult, in my opinion. We'll keep saying it. I don't know how Justin started. Well, I do, because of the system, but for Ricardo,
I think he's struggling. I think Fatawu's struggling. Fatawu.
Yeah, I think both of them on that side, to be fair. I think Fatawu, it is a big adjustment. He played well against Tottenham. But yeah, it's one of them. I've seen a few people say I've seen a few graphics saying that they want to drop Fatawu for Palace. I won't go that far, but if the performances keep happening, I wouldn't give him too long. I know we all love him, but you got to be harsh in the Premier League. And we've got someone like Buonanotte. I know I put a comment on your stream the other day, didn't I, about him potentially going on the right hand side, and could that be a potential? I don't know.
Touching on that, because that was a good comment you left, and that got us talking about the same system but flipped.
Yeah.
And I think we actually might see that against Palace. I honestly do, because I think Mavididi has to start. And with how, so what I think is going to happen against Palace, my prediction would be, is that we will see Buonanotte in the Fatawu role there.
Yeah. Stick him over.
Yeah, but if we just talk about in possession a second, so I think Justin will be left back.
Yeah, just put Ricardo on the right. Yeah,
Ricardo on the right, and then like in possession, it will be kind of like 2 10s and Ricardo out wide right, and then a back three. So basically, what we've been seeing, but the flip side,
yeah,
exactly. And I think we could see a double 10 of like Buonanotte and Canus. I mean, that would be, maybe indeed. Yeah, I'd like it, mate. So, but like I said, Cooper. I mean, it's anyone's guess really, because we thought Mavididi or Ricardo would played a lot more games, but I just feel like now is the time that Mavididi has to come in, and if Cooper wants to stick with this type of formation, I think the one that should be sacrificed just off performances is Fatawu. if I'm
Yeah,
honest.
that's fair enough. Yeah,
And he has to earn his place back. If he drops out the
exactly.
team and it helps the team, he's gonna have to earn his place back in the team.
Yeah.
I know he did right against Spurs. I'm not saying he's been terrible, but I just think he's struggling against the better fullbacks. That's all I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, I reckon it's going to be something like that, mate. Yeah.
Yeah, I'd hope so. I think this will probably be it. Obviously, the players at the front of the list. I put the backups for people in the chat.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
this is what I think it probably will be against Palace. If I'm completely honest, I'd rather. To be fair, I'd rather obviously Ricardo play there. But genuinely, that's what Christensen's name wrong. But ignore that. But yeah, I think this will probably be it. I think Buonanotte has to start. Who starts up front? I don't have a clue. That's why I put Ayew and Vardy both there. Mavididi simply has to play on the left there. You know, he came on for what 2-3 minutes, already got an assist, and you know he runs at people and he's fast. He's direct. Is sometimes what Leicester need. You know, when we are struggling at times, you kind of need that player just to bring you up the pitch at times and trying to make something happen. And I think it's not against Palace where I think it's going to be a close game. It's a game, just like you said, where it's our first real game where we're going into it thinking we probably should. Well, it's our best chance really of getting a result. It's not going to be easy. They picked up a point today against Chelsea, but you know, based upon the teams, I think we should have a real good go against Crystal Palace. And yeah, I think it's exciting though, the fact that we have got all these options and in terms of the lineup, and it's not the same thing every week. But obviously, that kind of has been the same every week so far. So I'm hopefully Stevie can change it up, and you know he's got the international break to work with some of these players. Hopefully, we can see a refreshed team on Saturday.
Well, yeah. Well, I was going to say it's a shame because obviously Bilal has just come in and he's with Morocco, isn't he? So he's off now.
Yeah, true.
You know, I've got a feeling we could also see maybe Bilal playing the 8. You know, again, this is the main thing, mate. Though, right? Because I know, and I was also kind of I did it as well, but I slagged off a lot of some of the business that came in the transfers because I didn't think they improved the starting 11 well enough. But a plus side to that is that now because of the depth, you can afford to maybe drop a Harry Winks. And he has to earn his place back. For Tawu, you know, if these players aren't performing, I mean, mate, let's be honest, right? We were just talking and comparing to the Great Escape season.
Yeah.
Nigel Pearson wouldn't have had no shit. You know, if someone weren't performing, he'd have dragged him out, put someone else in, and made that player earn his place back. So that's only a positive. But again, I don't want to start getting after players because I think the players have actually done well. Of what's been asked of them so far. So I just feel like there's options.
It's a good bench option. Sorry, for Abdul. So it's not bad coming off the bench, is it? For someone with his threat as well, especially you know he's gonna if you give him 20 minutes, he can just run for the old time. Could be a nice little threat for us maybe.
And what I'll say as well, because I mean I was again another thing I was pulling my hair out over on the weekend was that Cooper spent all of pre-season talking about how he needs these creative players. But then he doesn't start for Kundu or Bilal. And, you know, I'm thinking to myself, maybe as Cooper, you know, is he playing mind games with his own players? Is he maybe, you know, saying to Fatawu, either verbally or just, you know, with the mind saying, you know, if you don't perform this time, you know, Facundo's coming in, Bilal's coming in, you know, you might lose your place. Just things like that. And I think that is important. That is really important from a manager to do that type of thing. So, yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all if you don't see Fatawu in the lineup next game. And in terms of the striker, you were talking about the striker. Well, we know who it's not going to be, Edouard, because he can't play against Palace. True. So he's not played the first 2 games.
It's going to be a while to see him, but yeah, obviously that eventually got done last bit, which is good to see in the window. But yeah, apart from that, I think we have pretty much covered everything really. You know, it's one of them games again for Leicester. Hopefully, after Palace, we're discussing at least a point, hopefully 3 points, because we do need to get something on the board. But saying that, we're only 1 place behind United in the Premier League table right now, which isn't too bad. But yeah,
can you imagine if we haven't got a win after Palace and Everton? Can you imagine? Oh my god!
Well,
and then we play Arsenal.
It took us to what I think it's start of October when we went down, didn't we, against Forest? That was our first points then. So
that's true. That's true. It was, wasn't it? And we only went down by like what 2 points. So there's the seasons. Yeah, it's a long season, of course. I'm just worried that, you know, if that happens, because I think at the moment the players' confidence isn't actually like
No.
struggling. I think the confidence is there because they can see they're playing well.
Yeah.
But if you go and lose to teams like Palace and Everton, that's when there's kind of, I suppose, doubts will start actually getting into the squad and into the players, and that's when Cooper is going to really be under the pressure, under the cosh.
Definitely,
So yeah,
man. I think that Everton game, I'm shit myself already. It feels like 6 points already, doesn't it? In
yeah,
September, which is crazy. But yeah, I think this next 2 months or so is gonna it could well decide our season. Yeah, I think we got Bournemouth at home, Forest at home to come as well. So we got the Palace game, just like you mentioned, Everton at home, Southampton away as well, which is going to be massive. So yeah, some massive games coming up, and hopefully we can start to get some points on the board. But I think 2-3 wins, it shoots you up the table at this point of the season, and
it does.
the confidence from that could be massive. And you never know, Leicester may pick up the odd point, just like we did against Tottenham against a top six, and that's what it takes to stay up in this league. So yeah, I think overall, if you had to sum up our start to the season, obviously we're only 3 games in, but there's an international break already. Would you say you're happy, content? It's a tough one, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, mate. I mean, again, if I'm going on the performances, I'd say yeah, I'm quite happy. But if you throw in the manager, so people think I've got a Cooper agenda. Like honestly, I just think he's made too many mistakes. I just think I think Cooper has cost us 3 points so far this season.
Yeah.
I feel like he cost us against Fulham. Maybe 4 points. Maybe 4 points. I feel like I feel like we could have won yesterday, and I feel like we didn't because of Cooper. And then I feel like we should have drawn the Fulham game, and I think that's because of Cooper. So I'm going to say that Cooper's cost us 4 points. I'm going to put my neck on the line and say that. So yeah, like I said, for me, there's 2 sides to it. Performances and players, I'd give it like a 7 out of 10 or a 6 out of 10. Cooper, I'd give probably a 4 out of 10. I just don't think he's been good enough just yet. So
Yeah.
he's got to learn. He's got to learn.
Kind of agree. Yeah, I kind of do agree. I honestly thought yesterday we could have won. I thought we played well. Especially second half. We can't keep playing well in the second half. And just like I said earlier, I think that's a cause of concern. The fact we are always conceding first, and we always seem to start quite slow anyway. The first goal usually comes about 20 minutes in, and it's been a repeated pattern, and it just sets yourself up for a difficult game after that. But I think to try and draw some positives from the start. We aren't conceding loads of goals. We are scoring goals. We've competed against good teams. I don't think we missed a positive, but I think so far, if you offered me a point after 3, I'd probably be a bit. But just like I said,
but from them three,
yeah, it's tough, isn't it? Yeah, it seems bad, but when you look at the teams, it's tough to judge. I think we'll have a better idea after Everton, Palace, etc. 3 games in first international break, still a bit early in it, but yeah, could be worse, couldn't it?
It could be worse, mate. Yeah, no, I completely agree. I'm not all negative, and I'm happy you're being a little bit positive because sometimes I need it because otherwise I'm just like, I'll chuck myself out the window. But I just feel like, agree with what you've said. Basically, there's positives to take if the manager sorts himself out. If the team can be a bit more creative and all of this, if Vardy can find the net and all this stuff, if it all goes well, then we can stay up for sure. But the current trajectory, I think I read earlier that it would have us on 13 points at the end of the season. Obviously other clubs are on a worse trajectory than that, but I'm just saying that's what we'd be on. So yeah, I think if we beat Palace, or even if we draw to Palace and beat Everton, I think we looking good. We're then more confident. Yeah. Yeah. And if we beat both of them, then we're amazing. And if we lose both,
Europe to win both.
Get the manager gone if we lose. Get him gone. Get on. Yeah.
Well,
we'll see, mate.
We'll have to see, won't we? But anyway, Locks, thank you for coming in as always. I just want to let everyone know in the chat where you can find your obviously new channel.
Yeah, brand new channel. I mean, I recognize a couple of names in the chat. Some of them subscribed, but Blue Tinted Glasses. I think you can find it on YouTube by going to Blue Tinted Glasses LCFC. I think that's it. Content a few times a week, of nearly every day probably. I'll have a video coming out with Josh tonight in about an hour. So that'll be going out, and if you can do me a favor and hit subscribe, that'll be great, because it helps the algorithm and all that stuff for a new channel. It's a small
Certainly
channel,
does, man.
so yeah.
Certainly does.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll see you in a minute. Then I'll jump over there. Thanks for coming on, pal.
Cheers, mate. See you next time. Cheers.
There we go. Thanks for Locks for coming on. As always, like I said, go and subscribe to his new channel, Blue Tinted LCFC Glasses. I think that's what it is. But yeah, boys, thank you for coming in. As always, make sure to go and drop a like. It massively helps the channel out, just like Locke said, the algorithms and whatnot. If you want more Leicester fans in here with different opinions, you know what to do. But yeah, I'll see you in the next one. There'll be a bit of content over the international break. Obviously, our next game is obviously in a few weeks against Crystal Palace away, just like we said. So yeah, there obviously won't be anything game related for a few weeks. But good to have a little break because the last few weeks have been very hectic in terms of transfers to start to the season as well. But yeah, just like I said, a few videos throughout the international break, but usual stuff will return obviously in a couple of weeks for Palace away. So yeah, thanks for coming in, boys. Much appreciated. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Up the city.